famous rabbis. Yes, yeah, now we're talking about a famous rabbi from Turkey here today. It's reported over to been his Hilula here on the 23rd of Tishrei this month, as we've come out of the festival of Sukkot. Rabbi Nissim Yitzhak Elgranti, great famous rabbi of his time. He was born, actually came from Baizmir in Turkey. Remember, Turkey, especially during the 19th century, 18th century, was, a center of Torah, like an epicenter at that stage in time, and he would really be imbued in absolute greatness. Now, he would learn, I think, the famous yeshiva called the Beit Yaakov Rabbi, if I'm not mistaken. This was a great, bigger yeshiva that happened to be situated in that place in time. His rabbi happened to be another great rabbi we mentioned about, I believe, on various occasions here inside the series. Harav Yaakov Yosef HaKohen Chamtzi. I believe we recorded a video about him at, I think, various different rabbis from this family in of itself, from the Chamtzi family. Remember, that was also a great rabbinic family of its time in very much in Turkey. We've spoken about there are various different great rabbis that happen to have hailed from there at various stages of time, and Rav Yosef was one of them. I think there was various other rabbis with that specific family name also that we have to point out, which is very, very interesting. Yeah, so I think you would actually learn with him in the Beit Midrash called the Batei Kahuna. So it'll be interesting to do a video on the famous synagogues and famous Beit Midrashes of Turkey of yesteryear that at one stage in time. Now, it's interesting. I believe his father-in-law was another great rabbi, Rab Shem Tov Kalo Miti, who happened to be another famous rabbi of his day. Possibly, I think we mentioned him also on various occasions before in the series, if I'm not mistaken. But we would very, very much recommend everyone to learn more about them. Once again, I think that was a famous family name also at that point in time. I'll really get strengthened in Torah in of itself, let's just say, in a very, very high level. I think it's very close to his father-in-law, Rav Shem Tov. And yeah, very, very interesting. So he would grow up with Torah, Yirat Shamayim, at a very great level. And he was, I think, close with another famous rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. Obviously, the famous sage who was the head of the Beit Yaakov Yeshiva, his name was Rabbi Chaim Pelagi, and I think there'll be mentioning of him and quoting him in various different of his books, if I'm not mistaken, including the famous books called the Haktuv L'Chaim, Amudei Chaim, Tzedakah L'Chaim, and very much part of the Jewish court over there, the Bedin, Dayanim, the judges of that specific place in time. Now, it's reported over he passed away on the 23rd of Tishrei in the 1877. Now, he left us with some Torah colossal works, including the famous book called the Chachama Maain. This was a book that featured various sermons. I think that actually came out after he passed away through Rabbi Avraham Pelagi, another great rabbi from Baizmir, who we've spoken about. He was the son of Rabbi Chaim Pelagi, respectively. I think came out about 5 years after he passed away in the year 1882. So we're talking about 143 years ago here from time recording. He himself passed away in the year 1877. So it's the Chachama Maain book itself. You can see a copy of it, I think, in the HebrewBooks.org website. It shows a preface very much so, which I recommend everyone to look at. And you can see, I think it was printed, I believe, in Baizmir, if I'm not mistaken. It was actually printed there. I think very much connected to other rabbis we've spoken about before. Rabbi Abraham Pontrimoli, very, very great rabbi. Yeah, a great printer he happened to be in of itself, so that there's a whole preface also. I think it was in various different halakim, in various different volumes, if I'm not mistaken. So it just shows the greatness of the book, and I recommend everyone to check that out at one stage in time. Let's explore a few of the highlights from the book now over here. One teaching says, "Manavet shelo tamosh mizar'o rak imrochi roch shvalim asher alav." This actually comes from the first chelek on page 29. Once again, we're using notes of the Haimi website within regards to this. And that teaching, Manavet shenichnas legil bar hamitzvah, when someone reaches the age of 13, that's the time period where the 613 mitzvot are incumbent on them, zoche lishra'at shchina. The importance of it, they'll be meriting to actually accept the Shekhinah, the divine presence. this teaching actually comes, I believe, from page number 13 of it. Now, another teaching he gives over here. Anyone tuning in, please subscribe to the channel. We're exploring the history about a great Turkish rabbi yesteryear. Some of them, Rabbi Elgranti. So we're actually exploring it. He passed away 140 years ago. So please subscribe, anyone that's joined now, and I appreciate amazing content here on this video. Another one over here. Melamed Shemit Gaot Harbe Letzorech HaShabbat. Zochot Leolam Shekulo Shabbat. The importance when someone is keeping the Shabbat itself, the Sabbath itself, they'll be meriting to just experience the Shabbat in totality. This actually comes from page 101 in his book on Amud Aleph, which I recommend everyone to look into. Now, another teaching the great rabbi will actually give us is Melamed Malat Isha Shish Bi'adat Torah Shbichtav B'Torah Shbal Peh, talking about the written law and the oral law of the Torah in of itself respectively. This comes from 110, page number 110 inside the book, which I recommend everyone to look into. Now, another teaching he gives over. Melamed Shemi Shemat Mit La'asot Tzedakah V'Chesed Tofes U'Manato Yitbarach Shemo. This teaching over here is teaching us someone that's imbued on themselves charity and kindness in of itself, the faith that's going to come inside, it's going to receive an abundance of blessing. Now, one last teaching he gives over in his book. Melamed she'imhu ba'achdut im chavero. Someone has got unity with his friend. Az lebetach titkabel teshuvato. This actually comes from page number 61. Very, very cute teaching. So he was very close with many of the great rabbis, and a rabbi that would really quote him a lot, who we mentioned before, and was close with him, and the books would be published. Rabbi Avram Pelagi, let's say something just short with regards to Rabbi Avram Pelagi. He was also another famous rabbi. He was a son of Rabbi Chaim Pelagi, very much close with Rabbi Elgranti, and we mentioned him on various occasions before. It's interesting, the Pelagi family, I believe we did record a video on them. Rabbi Avram Pelagi lived in the year 1810, he was born. He passed away in 1898, 88 years of age. So he passed away about 21 years after Rabbi Elgranti had actually passed away. So that's very, very interesting. And that's something I recommend everyone to look into. It's interesting. So he was also a Talmud of another great rabbi, Rabbi Yeshua El Pinchas Dei Shikora, also Rabbi Chaim Pelagi, who happened to have been his father, very much so, was great rabbi. It's actually interesting. He actually, Rabbi Avram Pelagi, got married to the daughter of a famous wealthy man of the name Shlomo Chai Enriquez, I believe. I'm not too sure if he was a rabbi or not per se, but he was specifically a very, very great number, a very great rabbi, let's just say, in himself, and he would lead great generations. Now, what's interesting about Rabbi Chaim Pelagi, also he learned in the famous yeshiva Beit Yaakov Rabbi, that was the same yeshiva which Rabbi Elgranti actually did learn in. Remember, that was the yeshiva which his father headed, Rabbi Chaim Pelagi, which we've spoken about on various occasions before, and really, really great place. Hopefully we'll be able to maybe speak about that at one stage in time. And he wrote many essays in his time period, just like his father, Rabbi Chaim Pelagi. And he helped a lot of people write and print books. That specifically Rabbi Elgranti, who we mentioned about before, he would actually help with in regards to the publication of his book 5 years after he passed away. And I think Rabbi Avram Pelagi will actually succeed his father as a grand rabbi of Izmir, if I'm not mistaken, for staggering 30 years. And very, very great rabbis, law has been documented within regards to him. And he had great sons, including Rabbi Solomon Pelagi and I think Rabbi Nissim, also, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was related to the famous rabbi from Jerba, Rabbi Moshe Chalfon HaKohen, another great rabbi we've spoken about before. And it's a very, very interesting. So he was a great rabbi. He wrote various different great books. Let's explore some of the books of Rabbi Avram Pelagi. So we're very, very Torah and colossal, including Shemo Avram, the Avram Askor, Avram Anochi. There were various Chalakim. Many of his books were actually named up with his title of Avram inside of it, basically putting his stamp on the book itself. Vayikra Avram, for example, the Peda'et Avram, Avram Zaken. This was especially on Chagim, various festivals, let's just say. V'Ya'an Avram, the Kavod Yaakov. That actually is out of it. This was connected to Rabbi Yaakov Akrish, if I'm not mistaken, and very, very interesting. But today we're speaking about Rabbi Elgranti. He happened to be a famous Turkish rabbi of yesteryear, and Rabbi Nissim Yitzhak Elgranti to give him his full title, which I have to actually point out also. So his book was printed in Izmir, I think about 5 years after he passed away. You can see more on the HebrewBooks.org website over there. I think in the National Library website also will actually quote, there's a whole section with regards to his books, and they will actually quote with regards to various different importances within regard to it, which I recommend everyone to actually look into. Very, very good resource. They've got a lot of different great books yesteryear, and you can actually see the preface of the book in itself over there, which I recommend everyone to actually look into. But maybe we'll just read a bit from the preface. It says, "Chachma Ma'yan." We've got the Chelek HaRishon over here, and this whole textual information with regards to the greatness of the rabbis at that point in time. I think quotes Moshe Zivil, if I'm not mistaken, in the preface in of itself, and just clarifies that it was printed in Izmir, which was a capital place at that point in time. I think also connected to Yaakov Puli, if I'm not mistaken, who was another very important man I believe we've spoken about on various occasions before here inside this series. So he was a great rabbi. I'm not too sure if Google Books itself has his teachings, which is very, very interesting. And I recommend everyone to look more into it. There's also other people, I think, with that family name that were very, very famous also, which we'll also have to point out over here. So Turkey in its time definitely had a great Torah Bastion community, and especially at the time period of Rabbi Chaim Pelagi. Maybe we'll say a word also with regards to Rabbi Chaim Pelagi, because it seems like they had also a very close connection. Chaim Pelagi actually passed away in the year 1868. We're talking around 9 years before Rabbi Elgranti, who we're speaking about today, had passed away, which is very interesting. He was obviously a Chambashi. What's interesting is he was actually born back in the year 1788, so he comes from the 18th century. His Hilula, I believe, was on the 17th of Shvat, if I'm not mistaken. And remember, Izmir at that stage in time was known internationally as Smyrna, and it was part of the Ottoman Empire. So that was very, very interesting. So this Beit Yaakov was a rabbinical seminary, I think, in its time in Turkey. So we already spoke about a different rabbinical seminary in Turkey, I believe, in a previous video. So he would be I think it was by the year 1854, Rabbi Chaim Pelagi would actually become appointed the Chacham Bashi, if I'm not mistaken. It would be a position he would take on for about 13 years. And various different disputes went on the whole time in Turkey, especially with the government over there. Much was chronicled over. And he would have three sons, Rabbi Chaim Pelagi, Rabbi Avram Pelagi, Isaac, and Joseph also, which was very, very interesting also. So much has been mentioned within regards to him. I think it's actually interesting. The famous Bet Hillel synagogue, according to one opinion, was named after him, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of heritage and spoken within regards to him also. And there's famous Avram Pelagi synagogue also over there that I would think was used by the community. And the Beit Hillel Yeshiva, much is that was also a famous one. That actually a lot is commemorated with regards to the famous Pelagi family. I think even a yeshiva in Bnei Brak is actually named after him, if I'm not mistaken. Rav Chaim Pelagi also wrote some really great Torah works, including Tochot Hayim, Hayim B'Yad, Yishmat Kol Chai, for example. Masach Hayim. Many of these books were actually written in Ladino, if I'm not mistaken. He would write responses on taxation, the Kol Hayim, Arsot Hayim, many, many different great books, and he had a connection also with Rabbi Elgranti, which we have to point out. So remember, Ladino at that stage in time was absolutely thriving, and much more. We've already spoken a lot within regards to that, and I recommend everyone to look more into this. Now, friends, we're a community over here. We're learning over here about famous rabbis of yesteryear. Now, if you descend from any of the famous rabbis that we happen to be speaking about inside this series, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. Now, if you feel anyone is interested in watching any of these videos, please share these videos also to other people and help, let's say, get this community to grow further and further at the moment. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please subscribe. We're on a staggering 7,500 subscribers we're coming close to. So please join the community. Now, on this channel, we do loads of great videos. We do a lot of short clips, and we talk all over the different famous parts of this beautiful country of Israel. We try and explore all the beauty and see different sites and so on and so forth. So that's one reason. Now, also on this channel, we have a burst of inspiration from great rabbis, rabbinic figures, or Jewish personalities here of modern era, which really is a huge scope, and absolutely brilliant, which we can't recommend enough. Also, now also on the series, we do a lot more. Also, we will explore, but we do tours all over the country, look at different places, all over the agricultural places, the historical places, let's just say, itself, and so much and so forth we try and do here on this channel over here. So that's another reason to also subscribe to the channel. And also on this, we're exploring the history of various kivot, and at the moment, especially we try on this series to look at it in the eyes of the Ottoman countries, of the various different Sephardic countries, to explore the history and the beauty of Judaism, of our great rabbis, different synagogues we look at, and we really targeting to educate at the highest level over here. So please, friends, join the community, subscribe to the channel, enjoy. And we've just come out of the festival of Sukkot. So actually, at the moment, we are on Isru territory. It's a day after the Jewish festival of Sukkot. It happens to be, it's also a joyous time. So please, enjoy and learn more at this point in time. There's 3 pilgrimage festivals. That's obviously Sukkot, Shavuot, and Pesach. So this happens to be one of the 3 of them over here. So please subscribe to the channel, enjoy, and take care. And thank you, everyone, for watching. And watch this space. We're going to hopefully record in the coming minutes another video of another great rabbi of yesteryear. So we spoke about a famous Turkish rabbi. We've already on this series spoken possibly about a good 100 Turkish rabbis approximately already. So please enjoy and look at the stories of the Tzaddikim section and learn more about the great rabbanim of yesteryear. Thank you.